Hey y'all, welcome back to Scripture with Shyla. Tonight we are reading Genesis 7 and doing our Bible study. So be sure to grab a notebook, and if you want to follow along with the Bible, I am doing the ESV version. Genesis 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and his mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and his mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the heavens also, male and female, to keep their offspring alive on the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living thing that I have made I will blot out from the face of the ground." And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came upon the earth. And Noah and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Of clean animals, and of animals that are not clean, and of birds, and of everything that creeps on the ground, 2 and 2, male and female, went into the ark with Noah, as God had commanded Noah. And after 7 days the waters of the flood came on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 7th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. And rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day Noah and his sons, Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark. They and every beast according to its kind, and all the livestock according to their kinds, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, every winged creature. They went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh, in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered, male and female, of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. The flood continued 40 days on earth. The waters increased and bore up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep, and all the flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, livestock, beasts, all swarming creatures that swarmed on the earth, and all mankind. Everything on the dry land, in whose nostrils was the breath of life, died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground, man and animals, and creeping things, and birds of the heavens. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those who were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. All right, I'm going to make my notes and I'll come back. Okay, so in my study Bible, this is something that actually I noticed when I first read the Bible. I actually read the kids' Bible. And so it just said 2 of every animal, right? And so I just pictured 2 giraffes and 2 elephants and, just 2 of everything. And I think that's the picture that's depicted in the kids' Bible anyways, so you get this visual. And then when I read the Bible for the first time, I remember reading 7 pairs of clean animals. And I remember being very curious why there were 7 pairs of clean and only 1 pair of unclean. Since then, I've done my own study, but I wanted to just kind of say what was in here in case this is your first time hearing that. So 1 pair of every unclean animal, so 2 total, right? 1 male, 1 female. And that was just to keep their species alive, right? Which that just shows you how good God is, because he just knew these 2 would stay alive long enough to have more, and so those species could continue. So he also put some protection over these. Then there was 7 pairs of clean animals, so 14 total, right? 7 male, 7 female. And there was multiple of those because some of them were offered as a sacrifice once they arrived, and some of them were used as food. So going back to God keeping the animals safe and him knowing he only needed one male and one female of the unclean animals, he also was keeping Noah and his family safe, because it says in there, God shut him in. So it wasn't like Noah went in there and shut the door and locked it like we do at our house, right? To keep out predators or whatever. The Lord shut him in for his own safety, for their own safety. So there was, the safety depended on human as well as a divine action from the Lord. Something else that I've tried doing the math on before and I couldn't get it, but the study Bible mentions from Genesis 7:11, which was the start of the flood, to Genesis 8:4, where the ark rests. That was 5 months. So 5 months that happened, and then they were rested for 7 more months until dry ground appeared where they were able to leave the ark. So the next time I think a year is a long time to wait for something, I'm just going to remember that these guys were stuck on an ark with a bunch of animals for a year, which is wild. Something else I noticed, just I'm weird about numbers. I remember in Genesis 6, when we read yesterday, it had mentioned that Noah was 500 years old and he fathered his 3 sons. And then it mentions that he was 600 when the floods came. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I always read this and I'm like, 600 years old is clearly not 600 our years, right? There are a lot of different opinions around this. Was it just that people lived longer back then than they do now? Or were there 500, 600 years not the same as ours, right? They didn't have the same calendar we use and all of that. So anyways, those were my takeaways from Genesis 7. Let me know what you got, and y'all have a blessed one.